Welcome back to the podcast. Mark, I'm excited about our guest today.
Who we got today then, Darren?
We got Richard Crick, the head of Man vs Fat.
Man v Fat. We may have mentioned it once or twice on there.
Yeah, we've obviously done an episode on it before, episode 4. But today we've managed to get the head of it come on and have a chat with us about what it is, how it's working, the results they're getting, all sorts of stuff, I hope.
Yeah, and I'm really excited for this one. As you know, it's a big part of the show. We talk about Man v Fat. So how's your team getting on?
Yeah, it's a new season. It's started this week, hasn't it? I'll be honest, mate, we interviewed someone earlier and my hamstring started seizing up. What's that? And I'm trying to stretch my leg whilst record this podcast. So a bit stiff today. I had 2 games last night. But it was good. I enjoyed it. It was a hell of a lot of calories burnt, I hope.
Yeah.
It's good. How did you guys get on last season?
So last season, it came down to the final game of the season. It was the top 2 teams, first against second. We were first. We went up against another team to clinch the title.
Fatalonia.
Is that what they're called? Yeah, Fatalonia. And we lost the game and lost the league on goal difference. What a way to lose the league. But it's been a good season, and we go again. If I'm honest, I'm not that bothered by winning a league and that. It's a bit of fun. It just adds to the night and everything. Don't get me wrong, it does get competitive when those games go off. But I'm gracious in defeat, and we can move on anyway, so it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, good stuff. And a new season starts, new players are coming. And we'll see how this season goes. Yeah,
I had an injury last season, so I didn't get to play as much as I'd usually like. So I'm really looking forward to this season. And come on the mighty Peterborough. We're going to win the league this season.
Peterborough. Right. Well, let's see what Richard has to say.
Yeah.
And let's get going.
Let's get going. And here he is, Richard Crick, head of Man v Fat. How you doing, Richard?
Hi, guys. Yeah, all well, thank you. All well. Yourselves?
Yeah, really good. Really glad to have you on. As you've probably heard on the podcast already, we're big supporters of Man v Fat. We're both players in it. And, it's a pleasure to have you on.
No, likewise. Good to be here. And I believe we've got a weight loss journey to talk about, right? Because someone's not far off their 20%. If I'm right in saying?
That'd be Mark.
I'm not far off me 25% now. So,
wow.
Yeah. No, I hit me 20%, and I think I've got about 3 kilos to go to get to 25%. So,
mate, congratulations.
New season's just started, and we're just got to knuckle down now and crack on with it, really. So, yeah, I've had a
that'll be a motivator for that 3 kgs then, new season.
Yeah.
Because he's on another team, I keep trying to sabotage him by putting sugar in his coffee whenever we record.
It sounds like with the journey he's on and the snowball effect he's had with his weight so far, you're going to need to do more than a couple of teaspoons of sugar, I reckon.
That's it.
I obviously wouldn't really do that. No, he's doing really well, and it's been really nice because Mark got me into Man vs Fat last November. He put a post out on Facebook and looking for players for my team, and it's actually been really nice to see him sort of progress and it is a remarkable difference looking at the photos from November or before through to now. It's been really good.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. And, I suppose out of interest, Mark, have you noticed it in the same way? Because presumably when people don't see you for a couple of months,
yeah,
that they're like, hang on a minute, what's happened? And what a lot of our players actually have had historically is, are you okay? Are you ill?
And that's I've had that a few times as well.
Yeah.
So in my job, I'm a sales rep, and so I drive around and I see my clients probably once a month, once every 6 weeks. And so it's been quite good for the ego as you're turning up. People go, wow, you look amazing, which is usually the response. But then there's been a few times where I've rocked up and I go, oh, you're looking good, mate. You've lost some weight. Is everything okay? You went, this isn't a medical thing, is it? I was like, no. I've lost weight. I've tried my best. I've done this on purpose. And then they can feel, oh, it's all right then. Well, you look amazing. Well done, Mark. But it's just, But yeah, obviously going around seeing people once a month and happening so regularly, it is quite good. It's good for self-esteem, shall I say.
Do you know what? Funnily enough, I remember we went out and did some launch work for Man v Fat Boston when that was first kicking off. And we identified that hairdressers was quite a good place to go to sort of put up a few posters, because guys will often go in there, into the barbers, and they're sat in a chair. They've got to look at this poster, or they've got to have a conversation with somebody in there about something. And every one of these barbers that we went into in Boston was like, yeah, we know about Man v Fat, mate. We know about it. And by the third one, I was like, how do you know about it? It's not even like launched here yet. It's, nearby. We have one in Lincoln and that type of thing. And they were like, basically one of our sales reps, exactly the same story as you. One of our sales reps had been doing it for a year, and they saw him every 3 months. And every 3 months, he'd lost that chunk more weight. And literally they were just like, what have you done? And every time he would come back with exactly the same answer. So
awesome,
it is funny. I think you maybe don't realize what an achievement or the impact it's had until other people comment who aren't seeing you on that daily basis, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And I love the fact that, we were saying this before, that I love the fact that it's all for men as well. There's so much out there for women, and I don't know if you've ever been to like Slimming World, Richard. I don't want to talk badly.
I haven't been myself, but our founder Andrew Shanahan sort of formed Man v Fat really off the back of an experience like that, where you're the only guy in the room, so to speak.
Yeah. I've had a few of those experiences over the years, and I think the longest I ever did Slimming World was 6 weeks, because you don't want to sit around talking about why you've put on a pound this week or whatever it is. But I've been in Man vs Fat since November, and it's just, I don't think there's been a gym I've been to that long. It's just such a unique thing, I think. And if you love football, it's you almost lose sight of the fact that it's about weight loss to a certain extent. I sort of see it as my football thing.
Yeah.
And it's all about the football, but obviously you get the results by losing weight. So you're so it's strange how it works. It kind of gets you so motivated in quite a unique way.
Yeah, and it's that. I mean, the whole sort of principles behind it is gamification, accountability, and peer support, right? So nobody wants to be the guy that lets the team down, whether you're playing Man v Fat football or Sunday League football or professional football. If you're the guy that could have put that chance away, or you're the guy that could have cleared it off the line and didn't, you sort of have that personal responsibility for your team, and actually being part of something is what's important. But equally, having that sort of brotherhood of guys around you and that peer support network, where actually you can turn around to people where you might not be able to do at home, or even some close friends that you've known for years, if they're not going through the same thing as you. Having that like-minded community around you, I think, is really important. But equally, stepping on the scales and knowing that it's no way, no play. If you haven't stepped on the scales, you ain't stepping on the pitch. That sort of level of accountability is obviously there. And then we love gamification, right? Anything that we can do to stats, analysis, data, improve, pick it apart. We're going to do it. I was thinking about this the other day with Match of the Day. It's like they actually spend half the time on the analysis now, because they're obviously leaning into the fact that, that's what we love to do as men. We want to see the football, but also we want to pick apart what it's all about as well.
Yeah. One thing I really wanted to talk about is just the competitive nature of it. And when I first spoke to people about Man v Fat, it's almost one of the throwaway comments. It's just football for fat lads. So that it's not going to be that competitive. It's not going to be that good a quality. And okay, maybe the quality's not. It's not Premier League quality. It's not the highest quality, but it is competitive. And we had last week, it was the last game of the season. It was a title decider between the top two teams, and it went off. And there was shouting and swearing between the players, and that, not in a derogatory way, but the game had an edge, and
it meant something, right?
Yeah,
it meant something. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's on a Monday night. Where else are you going to get that? And that's what I like about it, and often say to people, it's the most fun you can have on a Monday night. And I said, for that reason, I absolutely love it.
I'll be honest, when I joined, I thought it would be like just a group of very overweight people. And it has surprised me how some people there play sort of Sunday League football, I think. They obviously need to lose a few pounds.
Yeah.
There's some really good sort of players there, better than average players. But I also love the fact that I wouldn't go to Power League, certainly when I first started, or some one of those other things, because it would be too competitive. It would almost be too much, and you'd feel like you're letting your team down. Whereas with this, what I love about it is it is competitive, but everyone understands that it's man versus fat, and it's about weight loss, and you don't tend to get abuse so much. And what I love as well is that we've got people on our team who, if you mess up on the pitch but you've lost weight, it's fine, don't worry about it, because you've still put into the team,
contributed. And we try and instill that mentality, right? That you can be a member of the Black Forest Fattos or the Eton Messis, right? And that's your team, right? And you love those guys, and you're going to go tooth and nail to win for those guys. But equally, you look around at all the other teams that are there with you, and you want them to succeed as well. Like if everybody got full marks on the scales each week, you'd all be delighted for everyone, because it's that one club mentality. And I think making sure, and the scoring system in the 7 years that we've had at Bambi football, the scoring system has been tweaked along the way to try and ensure that competitive edge that we have is determined on the scales, not on the pitch. And it's great that we have a good level of football on the pitch. And if you go to, for example, the national tournaments or anything like that, there's some players there. I mean, there are some good quality players across Bambi Fat. But what we want to do is ensure that the integrity of the competition is all about the scales, and that if you're not the best footballer, you can still contribute. And Absolutely. Something that we put in, which was very controversial probably about 2 years ago, which now thankfully is commonplace, was the draft. So every 3 seasons, we would split up the teams and make sure that everybody across your club is effectively as evenly shared out as possible. So the best footballers, the goalkeepers, those who have been on a really good weight loss journey. Because I think, being in teams with different people can motivate and bring the best out of other people. You might not have been in the team for you in your first season, but actually when you're starting afresh with a new bunch of guys and a couple take you under their wing, that's, that can be a game changer for you. And equally, you don't want a Man City-esque team who are dominating the league and then finding that actually guys who are turning up with, say, a BMI of 30 plus, 40 plus, are stepping on the pitch for 2 weeks and going, I'm not getting anything out of this. And that's always really important to us, is that you can play football anywhere in the UK, right? There's plenty of goals and power leagues out there. There's only one man BFAT football. And to ensure that we're never ostracising those guys who are bigger guys, we want everybody to feel included. If you've got a BMI of over 27.5, you can be part of our community. And that's what it's, that's the key thing for us.
Yeah. And I think the way that it's set up, that's because, last season we didn't win the league, granted, but we come quite high up, but we lost most of the games on the pitch, and we did that through weight loss. So and as much as you're right, I think our league's due a shake up at the end of the season we've just started.
It's the season now.
Yeah, and I think that'd be nice. Like you say, 3 seasons. I think by then it probably needs that, but it is still, the fact that you can still do it, and it's just it almost amazes me that people are quite happy to go and lose on the pitch when they know a few days later they're going to beat that best team of players with weight loss. It's quite sad.
Yeah, there's a level of satisfaction that that you can get from it. I remember a few seasons ago in my, 2-3 drafts ago, I was part of a team on the pitch were the worst, and hands up, I was part of that. We got battered every week, and we came up against the best team in the league, and I think we got hit like 9-10-0. It was a rough old game, but the aggregate scores come in and we won 16-15.
Love it.
How satisfying was that?
Love it. That's the 97th minute winner, right? That's what that is, and that's that emotion that it brings out in you.
Yeah. The WhatsApp group was really popping off that day when it realised that we turned this 10-0 deficit round. It's such a good feeling. And
who are you saving your 25% for then? What's the opposition that you
I'm thinking that now. That's probably Darren's team. We play them. I'll just
don't tell him though. Say you've had a really bad one.
Yeah, I'll be posting him cakes and stuff that week. But and what you said as well about mixing the league up, because it's sort of over the coming on a year now, but over the year it's amazed me that quite a few of the lads, you know, a few of the lads on my team have been parents and they've got into that lifestyle, and maybe their social life has taken a bit of a downturn, but actually they love the social side of it, and that's why I think, again, mixing the teams up has that added benefit. Like we as a team now, like at the end of the season that's just finished, we all, you know, a chunk of us went out for like it's bad because man of us, but went out for a curry, went out a few beers, you know, to celebrate the end of the season, and there's a great social element behind it as well.
Yeah, no,
it's incredible. I mean, the relationships that are formed, you know, and I mean, we were lucky enough at the beginning of this year. We had a celebration event at the Houses of Parliament to celebrate 10 years of Man v Fat, and we got 3 or 4 of our players and coaches in to sort of tell their stories at the Houses of Parliament, which was incredible. And, you know, some of these guys were saying literally, you know, before Man v Fat, they'd made attempts on their own lives. You know, they were that lonely, they were that socially isolated. If you've got a minute, check out on the Man v Fat YouTube. We've got 4 guys from our Scottish leagues who talk about their own personal experiences with mental health and what being part of the community has done for them. And I think at least 2 of them, as I say, had made attempts on their own lives. And I think, you know, they're just ones that we know about. But actually, when they could unpack that, and it's not putting that on people, it's unpacking it, sharing their experiences, and sort of feeling part of something and getting back that purpose and that routine. And I think that's another big thing for guys who, as you say, maybe have just had a kid or have had a change of personal circumstances or whatever. That continuity that, you know, Monday night is Man v Fat football night. That's when I'm going to get to see my mates. That's when I'm going to get to let off a bit of steam. That's when I'm going to celebrate my success. It is a big thing for guys.
Yeah, it's really interesting you say that, because one of the main reasons I joined was for that exact reason. So, you know, I don't mind saying that I suffered with some mental health problems, you know, years being a police officer, experiencing trauma. And it was about this time last year that I was sort of going through some therapy and bits and bobs. And that was actually joining Man vs Fat. It took a lot, I'll be honest. I think if Mark weren't a friend in there, I probably wouldn't have done it. But one of my steps to recovery, if you like, was joining Man vs Fat. And that's, like you say, that's something where actually on a Monday night as a family, I can say to my wife, look, the kids are yours that night. That's my night. Yeah. And I think for me, actually, Man vs Fat on a personal level was more about getting out, getting some exercise, doing something I enjoy, and having me time as part of that. And the mental health benefits were primarily the main reason I joined. But obviously the weight loss is, again, something that I need. So it was like a bit of a double win, if you like. But it's, yeah, I think you're so right. I think in this day and age, we're so connected to everything. We're so switched on. There's so much mental health out there and people don't realise it. And just taking that Monday night to go and be with your mates. And yeah. we meet 2 hours before kickoff, I'll be honest. And we'll have a kick around on the side and we'll chat. We'll
chew the fat about what's been going on in the week and everything.
That's what it's all about, right? Yeah. And I mean, we did a survey recently, regarding mental health. And I think it was over half of the guys who answered that survey said that they felt like they either had an undiagnosed mental health condition or had a mental health condition for which they were receiving some form of support for. And I mean, thanks for sharing it, because I think actually a lot of the guys who listen to this are going to be in exactly that same position, and they're going to find it very, very difficult to talk about. But actually, when you know that other people are experiencing that around you, it opens that conversation up for others. Because I think there's a whole piece around, it's good to talk and we should all talk about it, but doing it is, and walking that walk is a very different thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the same for me. I had a very similar story. I was I joined the Cambridge League in 2018. I lost about 1.5 stone, and that was great. But it then became something more for me, because I then went through a really messy divorce. And so then Man v Fat was my escape. And it was like, I don't have to think about any shit going on at home. I can just play football. But it wasn't just that. I then sort of formed a group of mates. And I remember telling the coach, look, weight's not been great this week. This is what's going on at home. He's like, I'm sorry to hear that, Mark, but well, I've got other games going on. If you want to have a few kickabouts in the week, I've got a game going on here, I've got a game going on here. And that's one of the great things about it, is that it's not just the Monday night. There's lots of offshoots of it. There's lots of kickabout groups, little other WhatsApp groups that are made of, like, there's a Thursday night kickabout bars.
I play in that.
There's a Friday night sometimes, and then there's also the 11s and everything like that. So there's much more football to be played than just on the Monday night. But yeah, when I was going through a really tough time, that's what kept my sanity, it seemed, and it was just something else to focus on and just sort of get out. And the other benefit, and I put it on on the last episode when we spoke about Man v Fat, was when I met my current partner. She lived in Peterborough, and I moved in with her. I didn't know anyone in Peterborough. The only person in Peterborough I knew was my other half and her kids. And obviously I met a few of her friends and that's all nice. But I was like, I don't really know any lads here and don't know anyone to go out of a beer with. And so obviously I then quickly made the switch over to the Peterborough League. And then I was able to sort of build a network of friends. And yeah,
Nice.
all of a sudden I know a few people and I can be out in town and I know people. I can see people and bump into them in the pub and stuff. And that never happened up to that point. So it's, yeah, there's a lot more that I've got from it, you know.
Yeah. Oh, mate, and I'm so glad it's been that for you. And I think as much as it is a football league, I think that social network and that sort of mental health support and that space to talk, as I say, for most of the guys is just as important, if not more. And I mean, one of the other things that we've tried to sort of integrate with the membership, which we know guys could benefit from, is that mental health portal. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to get on the Man v Fat Jack portal at the moment. Which just ask a question is what it stands for. But you know, we've introduced that about a month ago because we knew that we weren't really getting the uptake for the previous provision that we had, and we're hoping that the new sort of interactive aspect will make a big difference. But it's been really interesting to see the type of topics that, because again, I don't know if you've been on the platform, and for anybody who's listening, it's basically an interactive platform whereby you can ask questions to world-renowned experts in various topics around mental health and well-being, but also sort of people who have got their own celebrity experiences as well. So someone like Paul Merson talks very openly in the chair about his issues with addiction. And actually there's a set of questions where you effectively click them and he comes back having that conversation with you about his own addiction experiences. And that's a really, really powerful watch. But it's interesting seeing what our members are actually clicking. You know, I wasn't expecting, for example, burnout or neurodiversity to be as popular as, you know, conversations around those to be as popular as they have been. But also, you know, things like anxiety are popping up quite regularly, depression. So yeah, there's a wide range of stuff on there. Grief as well, I think, is one that everybody can relate to and that everybody could benefit from as well. So hopefully alongside what, you know, and I don't think anything will take over what is your teammates' sort of accidental role, I suppose, of supporting each other, that sort of brotherhood element. But I think there is an extra level of support there as well for people to check out.
What's your favourite thing about Manifest Fat? And what's your biggest success story? What do you go to bed at night and think, yeah, that's awesome?
I mean, do you know what? So to a certain degree, it changes every day because there is always something going on here. And I mean, I try and share a lot of our success stories on LinkedIn because obviously we want partners to share in that success with us, and also we want other people to understand what our community is about and want to work with us. And I often sort of jest with colleagues that there's so much good stuff going on that I feel like I'm spamming on LinkedIn sometimes. I can't stand that where people are doing it's like every 10 minutes. I'm like, I can't do it. So I have to try and sort of reel it back in a little bit. But I mean, as somebody who's been with Man v Fat since the inception of football, and I went along to one of the first ever Man v Fat sessions, which was almost like a WW Slimming World type style session in a library in Weston-super-Mare, very randomly. I don't know how many great things have started in libraries in Weston-super-Mare, but we're one of them. And seeing, I suppose, it go from what was effectively a brand and a vision to actually being something that is now global and that is now supporting tens of thousands of men, as I say, not just with weight loss, but with with that sort of whole societal piece, that mental health piece, that connectivity piece. And just, I think one of the other things that I always sort of love to tell people about Man v Fat is actually 50% of our workforce, both at Man v Fat HQ and within the coaching community, are guys with lived experience of going on a weight loss journey. And actually those guys then go on to be your coaches. I know that I don't think that is the case at Cambridge or Peterborough. I think actually those guys sit on the other 50% of the fence. I know that Cambridge is a long-standing relationship with Cambridge United in the community. And obviously you've got Sean, who's a fantastic coach at Peterborough and one of our longest serving coaches. But a lot of those clubs where guys have been on a journey, been there, done it, they've become an assistant coach, which is an incredible role across the community, which is almost wholehearted. I think 95% of assistant coaches have come from the community. And as I say, around 50% of our actual coaches have come through. And I think that, for me, is something we should be really proud of. Men helping men and people with that lived experience helping each other.
And that's something I've banged on about on this podcast already. And I'm not taking anything away from fitness professionals or these influencers, but there's a lot of them bang on about, you got to do this, this and this to lose weight. Okay, but you've never had to lose weight yourself. You've spent your whole time in the gym. I want to try and create something that's a bit more relatable. Blokes that have perhaps walked that path themselves, and you'll take more from that, I think.
100%. And I mean, my personal background, I've worked in public health for 15, 17 years. I've worked in leisure, worked in the NHS, used to do children's weight management, smoking cessation, NHS health checks. That's always been sort of where I've my career has been. But I've never suffered with my weight. And actually, we have some really healthy conversations at HQ where I might go, "Oh, guys, what about this as an idea?" And the guys will quite happily turn around to me and go, "No, Rich, that's a terrible idea. That is not something that is going to resonate with the community." And I think that, as I say, having that sounding board across us where we can have those healthy conversations across the team is something that, as an organisation, again, we should be really proud of, because, as I say, if you haven't walked that line, it can be really, really difficult to understand. And I think finding that balance between making sure that what we're doing is what the community want and what is sustainable and feasible to continue the journey of us sort of building out Man v Fat. And because I think I'm a strong believer that we are just scratching the surface of what we can do for men's health. And the fact that obviously we've taken Man v Fat football from 80 men in Solihull at Fox Holly's Leisure Centre to now supporting 8,500 men every week in the UK. We've lost 700,000 pounds of excess weight has been lost since we kicked off. We've obviously got the Man v Fat soccer leagues now in Florida. We've got Man v Rugby, which piloted last week. But those sort of true weight losses are still coming through. I spoke to one of the guys just before I jumped on with yourselves, and 38 people in the Man v Fat community over the last 2 weeks have lost 15% of their body weight. 19 Fantastic. People have lost 20% of their body weight.
Oh, there we go.
Another 4 have lost 25%. Another 7 have lost 30%. Another 3 have lost 40%. So literally in the last 2 weeks, guys are hitting these milestones. And they might have been with us for 7 years. They might have been with us for 7 months. They might have been with us for 7 weeks. But they're getting to those milestones. And we've had another 50% weight loss in the last couple of weeks as well. So
wow.
I think that's a real sort of light out there for anybody who joins to say, this is achievable. And there's a lot of people hitting these milestones. And I know for a lot of people, the aspiration is to play in things like the Amazing Losers game as well. And again, that's why we put those aspirations out there, because we want to celebrate that success.
Yeah. I've often had that where, like, there's been a game and there's a new lad come along and he's looked at it and goes, that guy's really skinny. What's he doing here?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you should have seen him when he started, mate. He didn't look like that when he was first here.
I've been a victim of that. Looking at people around Peterborough and going, how the hell does that guy meet the BMI? It's like, and then I think you've got a picture up on Facebook. You're like, there you go. You're like, whoa.
Well, he was, yeah.
I feel like those guys sometimes want to have that old picture printed on their back. So that when they get new members, go, hey, what are you doing here? And go, well, that was me. It's your turn now, fella.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing though, because funny, we were just talking to someone about their weight loss journey before this, and we sort of had that conversation of like, sometimes dieting, it's not easy, but you can go on a diet, you can hit it hard, you can lose 2-3 stone, but then I think the real trick of it is to lose that weight but then maintain it. And I suppose that's why it's important to keep those people in the league, keep them coming every week to help them maintain.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys need that continued accountability.
Yeah.
They want to be around people who they can share that success with and who they can lean on when they are finding it difficult again. And it is easy to take that step back. Some of the coaches also, if you talk to coaches who have maybe been on that lived experience journey that we talked about earlier, a lot of them sometimes talk about coach's curse, because they often end up focusing on everybody else around them and forget about themselves a little bit. So I think, looking out for your teammates in that way, the maintenance scoring system, we put that in place because we were finding that some guys were getting to the end of their weight loss journeys and they were going, please don't kick me out. I need this. I really need this. I need to continue with these people. As far as I'm concerned, my weight loss journey isn't done, or my well-being journey isn't done. And that's why we put that in, but also why we wanted to put in like the assistant coaches role, which we did, as I say, a couple of years ago, because actually when those guys are then talking to other players about their weight loss, there is that added accountability of, well, actually I'm an assistant coach and I've done this and I've managed to sustain it. But, we do see people leave the community and we do see people come back to the community as well. It's not certainly, I'd be lying if I said, right, well, everybody who joins Man v Fat Football loses all the body weight that they want to, goes on and has a perfect life. That's not how life works, sadly. But knowing that the community is there is a good sort of touch point for guys, as I say, whether they are continuing their weight loss journey elsewhere or whether they just go on to do other things.
I think it's important to still have those people in the community as well, though. My own personal experience is that those are the people who are probably the most understanding as well. They're really quite supportive people to have in the community. But also it's nice to see people that have done the journey that you are looking to take as well. And it makes it so much more relatable that actually this is achievable because he's done it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Look at Darren. If he's done it, anyone can. It's that, isn't it? It's that feeling. It really is. Okay, let's just think while you're on here, Richard, we should just get you to explain a bit more about how Man v Fat works for those that maybe aren't aware of it. Just want to tell us about the core principles of Man v Fat and tell us a bit more.
No problem. So put quite simply, with the UK's largest male-only weight loss community, we're originally set up because we know that only 15% of those who get weight loss support in the UK are male. So, we talked about it a little bit earlier on. You can go to the other slimming clubs and find that you're the only guy in the room. Effectively, if you're aged over 18, you have a BMI of 27.5 or above, and you love football or now rugby, then obviously I would say jump on, get on board. You can sign up through the website, which is manvfatfootball.org. On there, you can pop your postcode into the Find a Club and you'll be able to find out which club is closest to you. We've got 150 locations across the UK, and our sort of aim is to, I suppose, be within 30 minutes of any guy who wants to lose weight and get that level of support. Once you sign up, you are put into a squad. Typically, we do 6-a-side, but there are some 5 and 7-a-side leagues out there as well. When you come along to that club, you'll be met by your coach, your assistant coach, or your team captain. And effectively, you are then a member of that squad, and you contribute to that team, not just on the pitch, but also through weight loss on the scales as well. So prior to playing your game, and you guys said you turn up 2 hours beforehand, I know that's quite common at clubs to get to see the other games and get to see each other and do a bit of a warm-up and get out of the house, really, and have that time to yourselves. But turn up, any time really up to half an hour before your kickoff. You weigh in as a team, and for every 2 guys who lose weight, you get an additional goal on the pitch. There are other ways that you can contribute to that scoring. So if you hit 5% weight loss milestones, for every 3 guys who track, so keep a food or activity diary that week, and also for every 3 weeks that you lose weight. So I know that you guys talked about this last time. It doesn't have to be consecutive. Just every third time that you've lost weight, effectively you can get extra goals towards your team as well. You then play in a 28-minute fixture against another one of your league positions. And obviously, after that game, you log on to the portal the next morning to find the combination of both your scales score and your pitch score, and that gives you your overall score, which obviously dictates your league position. Typically, we have 14-week seasons where we chuck a cup in as well. And every 3 calendar seasons, we would do a draft to split those players up and to give you a new team or weight loss experience. As well as the football and the on the night support, you get access to the Jack platform, which, as I say, is a mental health and wellbeing platform, and also to the Dugout, where there's a number of different articles and recipe guides that you can get to really help you on your weight loss journey as well. Alongside that, obviously, you're a part of the wider Man v Fat community, so you can join things like Man v Fat 11s, be nominated for the Man v Fat Awards, be eligible for the Man v Fat Amazing Losers game, and also play in the Man v Fat National Tournament. And we've had incredible venues like St George's Park, the Etihad campus, Man City's training ground, and things like that. So, yeah, that's in a nutshell, I suppose, what a Man v Fat membership looks like. And obviously that's £31 a month to join up.
And yeah, the other thing that I was quite not surprised with, but the other thing that I quite like is the fact that the when you play in a league, there's a ref as well. So it's quite, for anyone that's not done it before, it's quite well structured, well organised, and well run. I like the fact that you've got the ref there. You don't just go off and play on a pitch down.
Yeah, and we're FA affiliated, so pleased to say that we're also FAW affiliated now as well. We found out last week, so that's been really positive as well. So we work closely with those governing bodies, just because we want to do it the right way, and I think that's really important. So yeah, making sure that the structured football is like that. One of the reasons we structure the fees how we do as well. I'm sure you guys have all played 5 and 6-a-side football historically, and you find out that there's that guy who hasn't brought their fees along, or that guy who isn't turning up that week. We try our best to ensure that the teams have the right number of players for the squads, and to cater for getting the most weight loss goals that you can do across the squad, and making sure that if you are maybe new or you're not as fit as you'd like to be and you don't think you can play as many minutes as some of the other players, that you can rotate in that way. But obviously we've got player borrowing rules if people are experiencing injuries, or if teams are short and things. So just making sure that those games can go ahead. The guys understandably are absolutely gutted every time we have to cancel a session, and I'm so pleased to say that is few and far between. I think we cancel less than 1 or 2 sessions a year per club, because we have a lot of sort of backup protocols in place to make sure that coaches or assistant coaches can be covered. But often there are circumstances out of our control, like pitches flooded or trees falling on fields, or honestly, you wouldn't believe some of the things that we've had. Heat waves in Hull on a Friday night at 40 degrees. Yeah, it's just random stuff that you never think will happen.
Yeah, touch wood. I don't think we've had any cancellations. I guess my bugbear is it's obviously not on a bank holiday Monday. So,
yes,
but it is what it is. It's not the end of the world. And usually there's a power league.
I was going to say, I don't think I've ever not played, because the boys are like, right, who's booking power league, and then you just go and play up. You rent a pitch, but and to be fair, you get I think you get a bit of money back in your account anyway.
Yeah.
But it's I mean, it's not very often, and I've never known it to be cancelled outside of a bank holiday.
Yeah, awesome. Just tell us some success stories. Is there sort of someone that you can or any players that particularly sort of stand out in your experience that have sort of really grasped this? And
I mean, do you know what? I mean, I think everybody's story is very, very individual, right? And I know guys who have been at the league for say 2 years who may not have even lost a significant amount of weight, but actually feel connected again to people. I think one of the most recent great sort of role models I can think of is a gentleman called Alex down in Portsmouth, who's literally just become a club coach on the South Coast as well. He hit 50% of his body weight He was a keeper as well, so he wasn't going out and running around the pitch week in, week out. He was saving balls, but he lost 100 kg, I think it was, to hit his 50% weight loss milestone.
That is mad. Wow.
But I mean, do you know what? If you guys get a chance, and we had a couple of podcasts down last time for the Amazing Losers event. Everybody who you speak to at that event has lost 30% or more of their body weight. And it was amazing talking to them about the different impacts that it's had on them, both physically and mentally. But then also, obviously, they're welcome to bring friends and family along to those experiences. And actually speaking to some of the people in the crowd about the impact that they've seen on those, those guys that were playing in the Amazing Losers game was so fascinating to see, to hear about just simple things like, their mood at home, their confidence in going out and buying clothes, their, how, their attitude has changed to diet and physical activity, and how that's impacted their children or partners. Secondary knock-on effect, I think, is often forgotten as well. And often, men are often seen, rightly or wrongly, as sort of head of house in terms of making decisions on certain things. And obviously, if the guy is going out and doing the shopping and their diet has hugely improved, or their portion size have hugely increased, that can have effect on everybody else. I think often there was a piece of research done suggesting that overweight people are more likely to have overweight pets. And I think that in itself is, from a attitude perspective, is really, really interesting. Because, you forget about those sort of almost like learned behaviors that you have, and that routine that you have every single day, and how what you're doing can affect those around you. That's sort of, as I say, I mean, there are so many success stories, and I think seeing the principles of Man v Fat football go out to the rugby community. We launched 3 Man v Fat rugby pilots literally over the last 2 weeks. Already there's been some impressive weight loss across those clubs. And I was fortunate enough to go over and launch the clubs in both Broward and Tampa Bay in the US. And again, like, seeing sport in the US is a very elitist activity. Typically, you don't get, if you're on that side of the fence where you haven't been active, or you haven't been active for a while, then typically people almost expect you to stay there. So it was really nice speaking to some of those guys. Yeah, interestingly, a lot of them had followed podcasts, Instagram accounts, websites of Man v Fat for a very long time. And we get a lot of emails into Man v Fat HQ saying, when are you coming to Dubai? When are you coming to California? When are you coming to Norway? And all of these random things. And, we actually get a lot of, we've had press from Germany, the Middle East, the US, journalists coming over and seeing what our guys are achieving and taking that home. And then people watching it. So I think we often forget that actually, we are trailblazers here, and you guys are trailblazers, and things that everybody is doing in the community may not just be affecting those around you. You might be inspiring people that you never thought you would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so what's the future for Man v Fat then? Where do you go next, Richard?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the football side of things, I think we've got a good coverage here in the UK. As I say, we try our best to be within half an hour of every man that would want to get support. And we've sort of think maybe not close to saturation point. I think there's certainly more we could do, but obviously we've achieved a lot with football here in the UK. The response we've had to rugby has been fantastic. As soon as we put the social post up saying Man v Fat Rugby is coming, we had 20 people or so commenting going, is it coming here? When will it be here? Will you do it here? And obviously we need that critical mass of guys in one place to make sure that is a good experience and that it's viable for us to do. But I think that has, that shows some really positive signs. I think ahead of the World Cup 2026 over in the US, I think that soccer, as they wrongly call it, is a growing game over there. And I think that, it's interesting over there. About 50% of those who are in our current leagues are probably Hispanic, and about 10% have never kicked a football before. So they're actually just incredibly passionate about sort of seeing the game, watching the game. They're like, I'll have a go at that, actually.
Yeah.
And they know that they probably wouldn't get to do that type of experience in American football or ice hockey or baseball, whereas actually soccer they see as something that they could pick up as a new sport in adulthood. Obviously here when we're trying to engage men, almost every guy would have played football at some point in their childhood, right? Whereas over there, that pretty much wasn't the case. Soccer wouldn't have been on the sort of PE curriculum, so to speak. So seeing it as a health product there, and actually, again, it's been quite interesting to see sort of the attitude to it of men being quite sort of proud about their size initially, but also really proud about the weight loss and investing in sort of their own body image. And again, societally, that's something that we're probably guilty of not being as good at as some of our female counterparts. So actually, again, seeing that sort of pride in men and taking that in their appearance and their body weight and their body shape and their confidence has been really good to see as well. So yeah, I think we're scratching the surface, and as I say, we think that those same principles can be applied to a lot of sports. And yeah, we will see where it goes.
I think as we sort of come to an end, one of the things I'd like to say is when I was at my biggest, I wouldn't have had the confidence to go to Man vs. Fat because I would have felt too big and too unfit. If someone's listening to this and they're really heavy and they're not feeling that they would cope with it, what would you say to that person?
So we have guys of all shapes and sizes within our community, and if you can't come to Man v Fat, then we're not doing something right. We want to be that sort of support mechanism for guys who want to make changes around their weight. And I think it's important to say that whilst you can be the biggest guy at the league or the smallest guy at the league, you're still making a contribution to your community, and you're still, those on the pitch goals are not typically what determines your team's success. It's typically the off the pitch goals. Almost everybody at Man v Fat has probably felt like you feel right now. We hear stories of guys who had to be physically pushed out of their car by their partners, or guys that have, been to the car park 3 times going, yeah, I'm going to walk in the room that time, and then they can't do it. And then eventually they gather up the confidence to do that. We've had guys who are agoraphobic, who actually Man v Fat as their sort of weekly routine was the only time they went out of the house. So we have guys from, as I say, all shapes and sizes, all backgrounds, all ages, all communities. We are there for you to give it a go. Come along and try it. But I think probably the best thing to do isn't to take my word for that. Is to have a look on socials, listen to podcasts, look up on Instagram, watch some of the TV articles, radio interviews that our players have done, because it's you guys who ultimately determine whether we're providing that service that you're looking for. But I'm proud to say that obviously thousands of men have started that journey, and tens of thousands of men have lost a significant amount of weight and improved their own personal sort of confidence, social networks, mental health through coming along.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. I wish I'd started it a lot earlier, actually.
Yeah.
And in a way, as a player on a team, I think they're almost some of the best players to get in, because they will lose weight quickly and it will benefit the team, and they'll be well received, shall we say?
Yeah, absolutely.
And also we quite often have a sub and stuff, so if you do feel that 28 minutes is too much, there's always the opportunity to come off and take a break.
But yeah, we've had sort of big lads that have come in and lost a lot of weight, and they're so important to the team, and you see them come out of their shell and they become that more confident in what they're doing, and it's great to see. But yeah, I love Man v Fat. Like I said, I've been a player sort of for 6 years, and like I said, I've had my own struggles through that time, but I'm really sort of on it at the moment. And like I said, I get to my BMI target, I'm still going to stay. I'm not going to stop playing, not just because I've got to my target weight. I will carry on, because it's more than just the weight loss. There is a real community, and like I said, there's nothing better I can do on a Monday night. I don't like EastEnders. Not a big fan of the one show. So yeah, let's do Man v Fat. So I will definitely still be going. So
cool. Well, thank you, Richard. For anyone listening and you've not heard of Man vs. Fat before and you're thinking, yep, I'd like to give this a go, what we'll do is we'll put a link to the Man vs. Fat website in the show notes so that you can click straight onto that. And also we'll do the YouTube channels as well, because you were saying about some of the stories that you've had on there recently. So we'll do a link to the YouTube. But thanks ever so much for your time, Richard. I know you're probably very busy.
Pleasure. No. Really, really good to do it, and really good to chat to you guys and also hear your personal experiences as well.
Okay, that was it. Richard Crick, head of Man vs. Fat.
Love that. Absolutely love that. Really good show.
It's nice, actually, because obviously we see it as a player. We play in it and enjoy it and stuff, but it's good to hear how much good they're doing across, well, not just the country, but across the world in some respects.
Sort of clubs up and down the country, that's brilliant. And then just trying new things as well. Like I said, we've done an episode on cycling before, and there's not everyone's into football, and that's all right. So yeah, now they're doing a rugby one, and I'm interested to see how that goes. There's a lot of big fellas who like their rugby, so there's no reason why that can't be a raging success as well. But yeah, no, great to have Richard on, and like I said, we'll be following Man v Fat and staying part of it and reporting on it as part of our podcast. So there's more to come in terms of talking about Man v Fat. But no, it's really good to have Richard on the show, and I'm looking forward to doing more content on Man v Fat. What about you?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good show. We obviously are big fans of Man v Fat. We're both in it. Know a lot of people in it now. So it was great to have Richard on. If you are thinking about joining, then links are again in the show notes. Like I said in the episode, mate, I probably wouldn't have joined at my heaviest because I wouldn't have been confident I could do it, and I would suggest that was a bit of a stupid decision in hindsight. I wish I'd have started it a couple of years before. But it's great, mate, and it's good to know what else is going on. And after the show, we were sort of invited down to future events and stuff like that. So I'm really keen to get down, see more about what Man vs. Fat are doing. But yeah, great.
Yeah, seeing how it goes on across the country. We have our own experience of the Peterborough League. That's our home. I've experienced the Cambridge League as well, which was different to how the Peterborough Leagues run. And so let's hope to get involved with some more Man v Fat events and see how other leagues do their thing and maybe report back on it as such.
Yeah.
But yeah, cracking show, and it was great to have him on, wasn't it?
Yeah. Right, well, that's it for today. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe on your podcast provider. We can check us out on social media at Big Fellas Podcast and pretty much every social media channel going. Yeah. Check out the website, bigfellaspodcast.com. And we'll stick the link for Man vs. Fat in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
See you soon, guys.